Rim Country News brought to you by Jake's Corner Bar and Grill. Same stop, different horses since 1916. And by Terlucas and Brandt, CPA PLLC, with a long history of providing quality CPA services right here in Rim Country. On this finally Friday, December 3rd, for Tano TV, K-Rim Radio News, and Global Trails Media, I'm Randy Roberson with your Rim Country News headlines. Well, in news from just a little bit south of us, a group of elders from the San Carlos Apache Nation gathered yesterday to urge Arizona Senator Mark Kelly to back legislation that will keep land that they call sacred from being torn up for a massive copper mine. Now, some high school students from Brophy College Prep showed up to support the half-dozen elders for the demonstration outside the Democratic Senator's Phoenix office to protect the land known as Oak Flat. We want the senator's staffers to know we are opposed to the land transfer, said Sandra Rambler, a tribal elder. She went on to say, "My ancestors are buried at Oak Flat." Well, in a statement from Washington, where the Senate is in session, Kelly did not spell out a clear stance. He said, quote, "Mining is an important part of Arizona's history and a major contributor to our economy." And Kelly went on to say, "I'm continuing to evaluate the environmental impacts of this and any project like it. I have met with and heard from leaders of the San Carlos Apache tribe, local elected officials, and folks on both sides of the issue." Well, companion bills in the House and Senate aim to overturn a land exchange that would allow the mine's development in that area. Now, the Senate bill tribal members want Kelly to support has been referred to the Committee on Energy and Natural Resources, but has not faced a vote yet. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, which oversees the Forest Service, has held up the transfer so far by pulling back the environmental review that will allow additional consultations with the tribes. Tribal members are awaiting a ruling from the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in San Francisco on the federal lawsuit the nonprofit organization Apache Stronghold filed back in January. They did that in an effort to permanently block the pending land swap. Apache Stronghold argued its case before the appeals court back in October. Well, in other news that affects you right here in Rim Country, COVID-19 has proven a stubborn threat, especially in rural Arizona, like nearby Navajo and Apache counties, where the virus continues to spawn new hospitalizations and deaths. Meanwhile, a new strain with a slew of mutations has prompted a wave of new travel restrictions, shutdowns, and studies. Unfortunately, the stalled vaccination campaign and the slow rollout of booster shots have made it increasingly likely the world must live with the constantly evolving virus rather than stamping it out. So, what does that mean for Arizona's rural counties? Well, on the short term, the news has brightened in the past 2 weeks. As a daily average in the past 2 weeks, the new cases have dropped by 4% nationally and 13% here in Arizona. In hard-hit Navajo County, new cases have dropped by 36%, but over in Apache County, they've risen by 5%. Now, that's mostly good news, but the fine print's less reassuring. Navajo County still has the highest infection rate in the state, 65 cases per 100,000. That's roughly 50% above the statewide average. The hospitalization rate still is on the rise, up 3%. That probably reflects the much more steeply rising infection rate 2 weeks ago, that is. And in Apache County, the infection rate's 43%, just below the state's average. Well, a thing called TGen tracks COVID-19 strains in Arizona based on sampling a tiny percentage of the COVID-19 test samples. However, that effort is focused mostly in Maricopa County, and in the past 3 months, TGen has genetically tested just 16 samples here in Gila County, 39 in Navajo County, and 87 in Apache County, which means the effort is much less likely to spot new strains circulating in rural areas. Scientists still aren't sure whether new strains will lessen the protection of the existing vaccines. Growing evidence suggests that the protection offered by the vaccine declines slowly over time, and if that's true, then COVID-19 may turn out to be more like an extremely lethal version of the flu, which requires a newly formulated shot every year based on changes in the dominant strains in circulation. Well, coming up in Rim Country weather, high pressure will continue to bring dry conditions, light breezes, and warm conditions through this weekend. Then, active weather pattern looks to be setting up for most of next week, resulting in some changes here in Rim Country. A complete report on what you can expect for the next 7 days is coming up next. You're watching Rim Country News.
Jake's Corner Bar and Grill. It's not just a bar, it's a destination. Jake started out as an Arizona stage stop way back in 1916, and folks have been stopping here ever since. Jake's also has been famous as a popular stopping spot for travelers headed to Rim Country or Roosevelt Lake. But as more people discover this historic stop, more and more, it becomes the destination. It was even featured in the 2008 movie Jake's Corner and later featured at the Sedona Film Festival. Ice-cold beers from the tap, imported or specialty beers, a generously stocked full bar, and great food that keeps you wanting to come back again and again. Enjoy a game of pool inside or step out and enjoy the covered patio and outdoor bar with live entertainment and much more. We hope to see you soon at one of the most historic stopping spots in Arizona, Jake's Corner Bar and Grill. It's not just a bar, it's a destination.
Hi, I'm Michael Dowling with the Old County Inn and Pinewood Tavern. So we've been using Terlucas and Brandt probably for the last 4 years. They've been really awesome to work with, Amy and Marguerite. They do everything now from pretty much all of our payroll needs, pay all of our taxes. They even help us on Fridays to pick up our checks, which is great since they're local. But I pretty much use them for everything. They've been awesome to work with, and they take off all the things I don't have to worry about as far as taxes go, so I can concentrate on my business. But as for now, they're pretty much doing all of my personal taxes, all of our payroll needs, all of our business taxes, and very affordable and just awesome to work with, and they're local. So we really appreciate them, and they've been a great partner with us so far.
Well, taking a look now at your Rim Country 7-day weather forecast, high pressure remains the dominant feature over the U.S. Southwest, with the jet stream pushed way up north, draped along the U.S.-Canadian border. Now, under this pattern, conditions will continue to be dry and light, and with variable winds and above-average daytime temperatures. And not just above average, but 10 to 15 degrees above average for this time of year, making it feel a lot more like mid-October. Well, overnight lows, however, are going to be around average thanks to a pretty sufficient amount of radiational cooling, clear skies, and little to no wind. Now, there are a few pesky upper-level lows that form off the Southern California coast, one today and another on Saturday. However, they are dry and weak, so besides for some kind of squirrely afternoon winds, no real impacts are expected from them. Now, the pattern, however, begins to shift on Sunday as the high-pressure ridge, it starts to retrograde off the west coast and starts to amplify, eventually stretching into the Gulf of Alaska. Now, this will allow northerly breezes to increase for Sunday afternoon in response to a tighter pressure gradient, with high pressure retreating towards the west as a low-pressure trough begins to set up towards the north-northeast. Now, as we look on the longer term, however, that's where things really start to get interesting. Monday through next week, ensemble and deterministic model guidance continues to suggest a return to an active weather pattern across the west here for much of next week. Now, the culprit for this potential pattern change, the position of the high-pressure ridge. Now, as stated previously, by Sunday, the ridge begins to shift toward the west, setting up over the eastern Pacific, amplifying into the Gulf of Alaska. Now, confidence is moderate to high at this time in regards to the ridge positioning, as the GEFS, EPS, and WPC cluster analysis says days 3 through 7, they all show it. Well,
with the center of the ridge over 1,000 miles off the California coast and amplified northward. This would allow a series of low-pressure systems to drop down from the Pacific Northwest up in that region and then right along the eastern fringes of the ridge and eventually dig down here into the U.S. Southwest. Now, as of right now, we're looking at two potential systems, one late Monday into Tuesday and another Thursday into early Saturday. Now, it's important to note that while confidence is on the higher side with a return to a more active weather pattern, it does remain rather low for precipitation or snow chances and amounts at this time. So, it'd really be wrong to get into any specifics being still a week out. But having said that, colder temperatures, back closer to normal, and periods of gusty winds throughout next week can be anticipated. Now, chances of widespread rain showers and high elevation snow are still on the table, but the forecast will continue to change as it gets a little bit closer. Now, guidance right now shows mixed results when it comes to storm track and the moisture availability, leading to different scenarios. If the ridge is a bit farther east, we could see more inside slider type systems, which would result in less precipitation overall. Now, if it ends up being farther west, that would result in better moisture tap if upper level support is present and colder air. Now, we'd like to see the ridge position itself an additional 500 to 1,000 miles west, closer to Hawaii, with storms developing over the northeastern Pacific. But forecasters are not going to lie. They say they're just excited to see something other than high pressure at this point in the forecast. So we'll just wait and see as that gets a little closer. But meanwhile, highs and lows around Rim Country today, well, they should be looking something like this. Here in Payson today, it'll be sunny with a very few light afternoon breezes and a high near 67 degrees. Tonight, it'll be clear with a low around 38. Up on top of the rim at Clintswell, they're expected to be pretty decent sunny conditions up there today, with the high only reaching about 58 degrees and their low up there tonight dipping down to around 27. Now, as you head south down into the deserts of Tano Basin, they should see a pretty warm high today, pretty mild for this time of year anyway, around 78 degrees, with a pretty mild low tonight as well, and that'll be down around 47. And that's what's happening around Rim Country. For Tano TV, K-Rim Radio News, and Global Trails Media, I'm Randy Roberson. Make it a great weekend.